Hello, everybody. It is the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. Don't hate for no reason. Don't go out without wearing a mask. A lot of things that might make us doofuses that we just don't need to be doing. I'm your host, Barry Welsh. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share. And for those of you that are new to the program, I've been doing alternative news broadcasts for several months now, and I've been covering the NFAC since I became aware of the NFAC. That was on July the 4th, Stone Mountain, Georgia. And this episode, we're going to be talking about the previous episode, the radio interview on WBLS 107.5 out of New York City. And Grandmaster Jay was on an open line program that they have there. And I was sent a copy of the broadcast. Otherwise, I would have never heard it. And so I aired it because it is news. And because it gives the opportunity for those that otherwise might not have heard it to hear it. And that was the intent. And if there are other radio broadcasts and I'm made aware of them and have access to them, I will be rebroadcasting those too, because it's historic. What the NFAC is historic. And again, if you're new to the program, a little bit about my background. Right out of college, I taught government, economics, history, sociology, and psychology. And I consider the NFAC an historic entity. And I've been documenting them, as I said, from the beginning in Stone Mountain, Georgia, from my beginning. Okay, they actually stretch back farther than that, including they came to national prominence on a very small level during the Ahmaud Arbery tragic situation. And I'm going to continue documenting. There are those that question why. Well, because nobody else has done it and is doing it. There are those that talk about talk about things, but not in an entire series as we have here. And also because while not everyone will listen to me because of the way I look, that's called monolithic thinking and prejudging. There are those that will listen to me because of the way I look. And they're also guilty of monolithic thinking and prejudging. But I'm probably the only white person consistently talking about the NFAC. And by being that, it opens up the white community, whether they listen or not. I can't control that. But by providing a platform where there's a possibility for a lot of people to get educated, a lot of people to see that they themselves are guilty of white privilege without even acknowledging its existence. There's a lot of things that this platform might allow me to do. And I thank you for watching, and I thank you for helping it to grow. Now, the purpose of the episode, Grandmaster Jay. He was on WBLS 107.5. I would recommend listening to that program. I learned a lot in the other parts of the show. All I aired was Grandmaster Jay's interview. The show's like 3 hours long. And again, I would highly recommend it for those of you in the New York City area, or if you can get it online. Grandmaster Jay made a few points that I want to talk about, and there's also a couple of things I want to talk about that are strictly my opinion in this episode. He made it clear that he's free because of the pressure put on by the public. And he also called for that to continue. And I would highly advise you, if you are a supporter of the NFAC, to take action, because this is as he also said in the interview, he is not out of the woods. Now, before anybody jumps to conclusions, I've never met the guy. All right, I just observed from afar and commented, but what I see happening, I'll be talking about in the next episode. But if you support what he stands for, then this is the time to show it, as he said in his interview. If you're not a supporter of the NFAC, if you're a detractor of the NFAC, I report on that as well, because that's part of the history. The opposition to what Grandmaster Jay has attempted to do, and if things work out, will continue to do. At the moment, he's incredibly restricted, as he also said in the interview. Basically, as we have reported in advance, he was under house arrest, and he's not allowed to have any contact with guns or anyone with guns. And he also emphasized in the interview that leaves him unprotected. And it's, I'm sure he's not happy, not comfortable in that situation, especially if there are enemies of such a severe nature, that they would take advantage of that vulnerability. And that's part of the Second Amendment, is the being able to protect yourself. And that's being impeded upon right now, and will be for the next 10 days. In the next 10 days, today's December the 8th. And for the next 10 days, Grandmaster Jay is going to be in kind of a flux, in that he can't exercise his Second Amendment rights. He can't exercise his First Amendment rights, the right to speak his mind, and the right to talk to people that want to hear him. So until the 18th, until the arraignment, things are going to be in flux. And once again, if you are a supporter, make phone calls to those that in government positions, and ask for these charges to be dropped. If you're a detractor, then you're hoping that this will be the beginning of the end of Grandmaster Jay and the NFAC. Another thing that Grandmaster Jay said yesterday that made me pause was that the government is sending a message to all leaders of any kind of empowerment or unity, and for those leaders to watch their backs, that this isn't time to step up, that this isn't time to put themselves forward, because you could potentially become a target like he became. And it made me think a couple of things. It made me think that he was smart in being the voice, the persona, the face, the only real identifiable NFAC member, in that whoever is second in command is not in as much danger as they would be if they were more in the forefront, so to speak. And it also, I think it also might have, because remember, Grandmaster Jay plays chess, he doesn't play checkers. So there might have been a couple of messages. And as we've said on the program before, two things can always be true at the same time. Just because there's one truth doesn't mean there's not another truth. So it might have been a message that the NFAC is not going anywhere. He's in charge, and don't try to assume otherwise and think that you're going to be in charge. So again, that's just a little analysis. Just taking it straightforward, it would seem to me that he was warning others that they need to watch their backs. He also mentioned the GoFundMe page, that and the fact that in so many other circumstances, vast amounts of money have been raised, and he called for financial assistance. It's been reported to me that he currently has a federal public defender, and while I'm sure public defenders, they have to have good hearts to do what they're doing, to want to help people that wouldn't otherwise have legal assistance. But you want somebody that's going to make sure that you're not put away on petty charges, to say the least, trumped up charges, charges that it could very easily be argued were only levied because of the pigment of one's skin, which is a constitutional violation in and of itself. And a GoFundMe has been started. If you are a supporter of his, I would recommend you supporting that, because he needs a proper defense. Dave Lackford, who's been on the show, he's talked with Grandmaster in the past. Dave Lackford is somebody that his 502-582-2020, Butler and Associates. Grandmaster Jay needs somebody like Dave. Dave comes from the streets. He's not a Kennedy. He's not one of those kind of lawyers that have a bunch of money and don't care. He's a fighter. He came from Philadelphia, and but that's the kind of person, I personally, and again, this is opinion. That's, in my opinion, that's the kind of person Grandmaster Jay needs. And that makes that GoFundMe account incredibly important, to be able to afford fighters, to be able to afford people that are going to believe in you, and have followed you from the start. Again, Dave Lackford or somebody like that. And also, again, this is my opinion, recommendations that if you haven't already, if you know Grandmaster Jay, and again, this isn't really news, this is opinion, and this is the fact that I think somebody's being held that shouldn't be held, and somebody's rights are being impeded upon whose rights shouldn't be impeded upon. So I'm going to inject a little personal thing here. If you know Grandmaster Jay, and he hasn't done so, have him contact the Southern Poverty Law Center. I talk about that a lot on this program, because I've referenced them as far as terrorist groups, as far as domestic terrorist groups. And the NFAC is not listed as a domestic terrorist group or a terrorist group. They're a very law-abiding group, actually, as I've reported many times on here. But Southern Poverty Law Center has a lot of attorneys, a lot of smart attorneys, and also the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU. If you haven't done, if you have contact with Grandmaster Jay, just pass those two things along. He's a smart guy. He's probably already thought of that, but just in case, it wouldn't hurt to contact either one or both of those organizations. And in my opinion, it wouldn't hurt to contact Dave Lackford either. 502-582-2020 at Butler and Associates. Because if you're just going to put all your faith and trust in a federal public defender, you get federal listed right off the bat. So also pointed out in the interview yesterday, and it can't be pointed out enough, I don't think, there are two different applications of the legal system in America. And it's predominantly laid out based upon pigment of one's skin and amount of coin in one's pocket. And I don't know what the thinking was as this legal system has progressed, but it's been skewed in such a manner for too long. And it's not going to be an easy change, a simple change. It may not be a change that ever happens, but it's a change that will and should be fought for. And I mean that peacefully fought for. I'm not talking in any way, in any shape, in any manner aggressively. And the final thing that that struck me was that the actual apprehension by the federal task force occurred on the day of the killing of Fred Hampton and Mark Clark of the Black Panther Party in Chicago back in the 60s, and about the COINTELPRO, which we've also talked about in episodes on this show with, and especially with Chris, our militia, our security, our weapons expert, multi-dimensioned expert, and how Grandmaster Jay kind of said the only thing different was that he was still alive, and talked about the Breonna Taylor situation. And again, the only real difference in that is that that he's still alive. So I'm personally thankful that he's still alive. Again, I don't know the guy. It's just from my perspective, and I've said this multiple times, the NFAC, the stronger they are, the less likely they're going to be attacked, and the less likely, the more likely that they will have political clout to be able to accomplish things. And I said that from the start, and I continue to say that, and I stand by that. So I'll be back real soon with another episode. If you have questions or comments, get them to me through Facebook Messenger, American Doofus, or you can email americandoofus@gmail.com. I don't go through the comments. I don't read the comments. The only time I do that is when I do a live broadcast. And the reason primarily is a lot of the comments normally are about me, and the show's not about me. The show's about you. The show's about the truth. The show's about equality. The show's about freedom. The show's about social justice and social injustice. It's alternative news. It's things other people don't talk about. It's called the American Doofus Show. I'm the host, Barry Welsh. We're under a virus. We're in a pandemic. And we're the only country in the world that's letting it grow. That's doofus upon doofus. Wear your mask, wash your hands. Look out for yourself. Look out for others. Be a good person. Try not to judge. Just try to express love. John Lennon was killed on today's day 40 years ago, one of the Beatles. All you need is love. All you need is love. We had more love, it'd be a better world. It's not at the moment, but you know what? It can be. With your help, with my help, maybe we'll make it happen. Starting an organization called EAR, End All Racism. And got a couple of people interested in being on the board. If you'd like to be considered, if you know someone that should be considered, going to be organizing it and really going to be launching it after the inauguration, after we have had a peaceful transition of power and the continuation of our constitutional democracy. And I'm going to be putting it together leading up to that point. So until next time, it's the American Doofus Show. I'm Barry Welsh, your host. Don't be a doofus.